The bustling streets of Manhattan have always been a stage for the extraordinary, a landscape where the lines between reality and public spectacle blur under the glow of neon lights and towering billboards. On any given evening, the city vibrates with a familiar kinetic energy, drawing millions of dreamers, spectators, and onlookers into its gravitational pull. Yet, there are rare moments in history when the entire momentum of this metropolis seems to ground to a sudden halt, converging upon a singular geographic point that has long served as the ultimate arena for human achievement and public adulation. For decades, Madison Square Garden has stood as the definitive coliseum of modern culture, hosting legendary athletic battles, historic musical milestones, and gatherings that have shaped the collective consciousness of generations. It is a venue designed not for intimacy but for echo, a structure built specifically to amplify human emotion so that it can be felt by tens of thousands of people simultaneously. To step inside its walls is to understand the sheer scale of global fame, where every cheer reverberates through history and every spotlight carves an indelible mark into the cultural fabric. The sheer audacity of transforming such a massive, historic stadium into a sanctuary for a deeply personal milestone challenges our traditional understanding of privacy and celebration, signaling a profound shift in how the world's most visible figures choose to share their lives with the public. It invites us to look closer at the mechanics of contemporary celebrity culture, where the boundaries between what is sacred and what is broadcasted are entirely redrawn before our eyes. Before we dive deeper into the astonishing logistics and the unprecedented public reaction surrounding this monumental event, please take a quick moment to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update on the stories defining our world today. The atmosphere surrounding the venue on this particular day was nothing short of electric, charged with an undeniable sense of anticipation that rippled through the dense crowds gathering along the surrounding blocks of New York City. Rumors had been circulating for weeks, whispered in corners of the internet, and debated across media platforms, yet nothing could have truly prepared the public for the reality of what was unfolding in the heart of the city. For months, the narrative surrounding this high-profile relationship had been one of constant motion, tracking a whirlwind journey across continents, stadiums, and high-stakes arenas. Capturing the imagination of a global audience that watched every interaction with bated breath. They represented a collision of two entirely different, yet equally massive worlds of entertainment, creating a cultural phenomenon that transcended their respective fields and established them as the absolute pinnacle of modern public fascination. Every public appearance had been treated as a major event, every subtle gesture analyzed by millions, creating a momentum that seemed destined to culminate in something grand. Yet the choice of venue for this specific milestone caught even the most seasoned observers off guard. Madison Square Garden was not just a location, it was a statement of grand magnitude, a deliberate choice to elevate a personal union into an event of historic proportions, ensuring that its impact would be felt globally. The sheer scale of the preparation was staggering, with security cordons extending for blocks, elite guest lists being finalized in total secrecy, and the world's most prominent fashion houses working around the clock behind closed doors to perfect every visual detail. Outside the arena, the city carried on with its usual chaotic rhythm, but beneath the surface, there was a palpable knowledge that something entirely unprecedented was happening inside the world's most famous arena. A moment that would immediately ignite a fierce global conversation about the nature of modern romance, public consumption, and the price of ultimate visibility. As the hours ticked down, the mystery only deepened, drawing a vast array of high-powered executives, global icons, and close confidants into the secure perimeter of the stadium, all of them arriving under a veil of intense scrutiny and anticipation. The convergence of such immense wealth, influence, and star power within a single sports arena created an atmosphere that felt less like a traditional ceremony and more like a monumental cultural summit designed to alter the media landscape forever. Observers struggled to comprehend how an event typically characterized by quiet romance and familial intimacy could be successfully mapped onto the cavernous dimensions of a stadium that has hosted iconic championship boxing matches and sold-out rock concerts. This striking contrast between the inherently private nature of the vows being exchanged and the massive public architecture of the venue created a unique tension that defined the entire evening, setting the stage for a rollout that would soon polarize the entire digital world. Every detail, from the heavily guarded entry points to the precise timing of the arrivals, hinted at a masterfully orchestrated plan that aimed to balance absolute security with an inescapable public presence. The world watched from afar, relying on fragments of information and sudden updates, building a collective anticipation that grew heavier with every passing minute as the true nature of the evening slowly began to materialize in the heart of New York. As the heavy iron doors of Madison Square Garden sealed out the frantic energy of Manhattan, the interior of the legendary sports arena was completely transformed into an opulent sanctuary designed to accommodate one of the most highly anticipated gatherings in modern pop culture history. Inside the cavernous stadium, a carefully curated audience of exactly 1,000 guests took their seats, representing a staggering concentration of global wealth, media influence, and Hollywood royalty. The star-studded guest list read like a definitive directory of the global elite, featuring top-tier corporate executives from massive media conglomerates like Disney, who rubbed shoulders with internationally renowned figures such as supermodel Gigi Hadid and legendary actor Hugh. This massive crowd of high-profile attendees sat in a space that usually echoes with the roars of basketball fans and concert-goers, but on this night, the arena was filled with a tense, sophisticated whisper of anticipation. While earlier media leaks and speculative press reports had confidently suggested that Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce would exchange their vows in a quiet, deeply intimate morning ceremony before moving to the arena solely for a massive reception, the reality of the evening completely upended those expectations. The main event, including the actual exchanging of the marriage vows, took place directly on the floor of the massive arena itself, turning a traditionally private ritual into a theatrical masterpiece of immense proportions. To anchor this monumental event in some semblance of familiar comfort, the couple turned to their immediate families for support, eschewing traditional bridal parties in favor of deeply personal roles. Taylor chose not to have a traditional lineup of bridesmaids, instead appointing her devoted brother, Austin Swift, to serve as her unique man of honor, symbolizing the tight-knit bond the siblings have maintained throughout her stratospheric rise to global fame. On the other side of the altar stood Travis's brother, the legendary football icon Jason Kelce, who fulfilled the duties of best man with the same larger-than-life presence that has made him a beloved figure across the sports world. In a move that perfectly captured the surreal blend of Hollywood glamour and casual charm defining the relationship, the entire ceremony was officiated by the beloved comedic actor Adam Sandler, whose unexpected presence added an element of warm, star-powered familiarity to the high-stakes proceedings. Representatives for the newlywed couple quickly confirmed the official details of the marriage to major media outlets like People magazine, revealing the stunning, ultra-exclusive fashion choices that defined the visual narrative of the evening. Both the bride and the groom walked down the improvised arena aisle wearing breathtaking, custom-made looks meticulously designed by the historic French fashion house Dior Haute Couture, ensuring their garments matched the historic gravity of the venue. To complement these masterfully tailored high-fashion ensembles, both Taylor and Travis wore custom-designed shoes by the legendary luxury designer Christian Louboutin, adding a touch of classic red-soled elegance to every step they took across the grand stage. Yet, the moment the official confirmation went public, the carefully controlled atmosphere inside the arena instantly collided with a massive, roaring wave of global media attention that the couple seemed completely eager to invite. Almost the exact second the marriage became official, the couple made sure the entire world knew about their union by utilizing the massive digital infrastructure of Madison Square Garden itself to broadcast their new status to the streets of New York City. The venue's massive exterior electronic billboards, which typically flash advertisements for upcoming hockey games, massive rock concerts, or commercial brands, suddenly lit up with a giant, bright announcement reading "Just Married" across multiple synchronized screens. This immediate, highly public declaration was a deliberate choice that transformed a private family milestone into an unavoidable piece of public art, forcing every pedestrian, driver, and onlooker in Midtown Manhattan to become an instant witness to their marriage. However, this unprecedented level of immediate public broadcasting quickly ignited an absolute wildfire of intense debate, division, and heavy criticism across every single social media platform. The internet erupted into a state of absolute shock and polarization as millions of people began to dissect the sheer scale and presentation of the announcement, with many calling the massive public display deeply performative and completely unnecessary. One incredibly viral post on the social media platform X went absolutely astronomical after quote-tweeting a high-resolution photograph of the bright exterior stadium billboards glowing against the night sky. The user added a scathing caption stating that having massive commercial billboards put up immediately after getting married at Madison Square Garden might actually be the tackiest thing this woman has ever done in her entire career. The specific sentiment quickly became the dominant perspective across mainstream social media networks, as users began to openly question the artistic and personal motives behind turning a wedding into a highly commercialized corporate event. Another prominent online commentator heavily echoed this frustration, writing that the entire display looked exactly like a giant corporate advertisement for AT&T, describing the entire production as completely tacky and deeply performative. This wave of intense online pushback highlighted a growing fatigue among certain segments of the public who felt that the boundary between genuine human emotion and calculated media spectacle had been completely erased by the couple's rollout strategy. A different observer pointed out what they viewed as a massive, highly ironic misunderstanding among the core fan community, noting that the funniest misread of the century was the dedicated fans thinking they were being deeply respectful by staying far away from Madison Square Garden out of respect for privacy, when in reality the pop star clearly wanted a massive, screaming crowd gathered there to cheer for this exact public moment. Other internet users expressed a sense of deep amusement at the complete contradiction of the couple's previous claims regarding a desire for absolute privacy and quiet personal spaces. One sarcastic user quipped that it was truly incredible to see someone announcing their marriage on a giant commercial billboard when for months the fan base had fiercely argued that she wanted absolute privacy above all else. The discourse quickly shifted into a fascinating comparative analysis of how different modern mega-celebrities choose to handle their most sacred life milestones in the age of constant digital surveillance. Multiple social media users began comparing the massive stadium-sized circus of Taylor and Travis's nuptials to the ultra-private marriage of Hollywood power couple Zendaya and Tom Holland, who successfully managed to wed in complete absolute secrecy without a single media outlet or fan knowing beforehand, only confirming their marriage long after the fact. One widely shared post detailed this exact comparison, stating that while they initially thought Zendaya was being a total drag for not even posting a single photo of her wedding dress on Instagram, they now realize that absolute discretion and quiet privacy are infinitely classier than this entire loud, commercialized stadium circus. This sentiment found a massive, deeply receptive home on platforms like Reddit, where users in popular cultural forums expressed identical feelings of exhaustion and disapproval regarding the massive event. One of the absolute top-voted comments on the platform succinctly captured the collective mood of the online community, describing the entire arena wedding as completely tacky, desperate, and utterly classless. Another highly upvoted comment questioned the fundamental psychology behind making such a personal moment so completely performative and seemingly engineered entirely for immediate public consumption. The user noted that if they possessed even a fraction of the couple's massive multi-million-dollar wealth, they would choose to get married in an entirely private, hidden paradise surrounded only by their closest lifelong friends and immediate family, ultimately calling the stadium display a form of absolute insanity. As the digital debate continued to spiral completely out of control, some users began to view the entire spectacle through a much wider, almost philosophical lens, analyzing what it said about the current state of modern culture. One intense reaction to the viral tweet described the highly publicized event as embarrassing nonsense, while another user dramatically declared that watching this hyper-commercialized stadium wedding felt like watching the cringiest collapse of a nation in real time, illustrating just how deeply this singular event polarized the global public. To truly comprehend the monumental weight of what transpired on that historic night in New York City, one must look far beyond the glowing neon billboards and the immediate fierce storm of social media criticism. The choice to marry inside the legendary walls of Madison Square Garden represents the absolute zenith of two extraordinary individual journeys that have captivated the world for over a decade. Taylor Swift's path to this grand arena did not begin under the stadium lights of Manhattan, but rather in the quiet rolling hills of Pennsylvania, where a young girl with an acoustic guitar first began translating the universal complexities of human emotion into simple, resonant melodies. Her early career was defined by a tireless, unrelenting dedication to storytelling, moving from small country music festivals to intimate theaters and eventually to the massive record-breaking global stadiums that defined her recent era. Throughout this historic ascension, her personal life became a matter of intense public fascination, with every lyric carefully dissected and every relationship heavily scrutinized by a global audience. Over the years, she navigated the brutal pressures of ultimate visibility, frequently retreat into deep layers of absolute privacy in a desperate bid to protect her personal sanctuary from the relentless glare of the media. This constant, exhausting tug-of-war between a deep desire for an ordinary, quiet life and the inescapable reality of global stardom became a defining theme of her creative output and her public persona. Yet, as her influence grew to an unprecedented level where her economic impact could alter the financial trajectories of entire nations, a profound transformation occurred in how she approached her relationship with the public. Instead of hiding from the cameras or escaping to remote hidden estates, she made a conscious revolutionary decision to step directly into the brightest spotlights imaginable, fully embracing the spectacular theatricality of her existence. This shift in philosophy found its perfect ultimate counterpart in Travis Kelce, a man whose entire life had been defined by performing at the absolute highest level under the intense pressure of massive stadium lights and roaring crowds. Raised in the hard-working environment of Ohio alongside his equally famous brother Jason, Travis carved out a legendary career in professional football, establishing himself as one of the most dominant, charismatic athletes of his generation. His journey was anchored by a larger-than-life personality, a fierce competitive drive, and an innate understanding of how to command the energy of an audience of 80,000 screaming fans. When these two massive trajectories collided, it created an absolute cultural earthquake that completely shattered the traditional boundaries between the worlds of sports and entertainment, creating a mega relationship that was inherently stadium-sized from its very inception. Their romance was never destined for quiet, candlelit corners or hidden paparazzi-proof resorts. It unfolded on national television networks, on the turf of championship football fields, and on the stages of massive international concert tours. Therefore, when the time came to solidify their union, exchanging vows inside Madison Square Garden was not a sudden, uncharacteristic choice, but rather the entirely logical, grand culmination of a shared life that has always been lived out loud in front of millions. This historic event matters so deeply to contemporary culture because it serves as the definitive turning point in the evolution of modern celebrity, signaling the complete death of traditional privacy in favor of absolute, curated transparency. By transforming the world's most famous sports arena into a wedding chapel, the couple completely rejected the old Hollywood blueprint of secret, heavily guarded celebrity nuptials, choosing instead to lean entirely into the hyper-visible reality of the 21st century. This deliberate choice has forced a profound global conversation about the nature of modern romance, authenticity, and public consumption in an age where every aspect of human life can be instantly broadcasted and commercialized. It challenges the deeply held belief that the most sacred moments of human existence must be kept small and private to retain their purity, proposing instead that love can be celebrated as a massive, theatrical spectacle without losing its core emotional truth. The heavy backlash and intense polarization sweeping across platforms like Reddit and X reveal a deep systemic anxiety within the public regarding the total erasure of boundaries between the private self and the public brand. For many observers, the giant electronic billboards flashing outside the arena represented a bridge too far, a corporate simulation of romance that felt uncomfortably performative and detached from ordinary human reality. Yet, for millions of devoted supporters worldwide, the grand scale of the event was viewed as a beautiful, authentic expression of a couple who has always invited the world to share in their joy, turning their personal happiness into a collective, global celebration. The presence of iconic figures like Adam Sandler officiating the ceremony, and family anchors like Austin Swift and Jason Kelce standing by their side provided a vital layer of genuine, grounded humanity to an event that otherwise threatened to be completely overwhelmed by its own staggering corporate magnitude. These intimate family dynamics served as a crucial reminder that beneath the custom Dior Haute Couture garments, the luxury Christian Louboutin shoes, and the multi-million-dollar logistical infrastructure, there was still a real human story unfolding between two people who chose to bind their lives together forever. The massive cultural ripple effects of this wedding will undoubtedly be felt for years to come, setting an entirely new, unprecedented benchmark for how major cultural icons choose to navigate their most significant personal milestones. It has completely redefined what it means to be a public figure in the modern era, proving that the ultimate level of fame is no longer about escaping the crowd, but completely mastering it. As the dust slowly settles on Midtown Manhattan and the massive electronic screens of Madison Square Garden return to their usual commercial schedules, the memory of this unprecedented night will remain etched into the history of the city and the collective memory of pop culture. It stands as a towering, unforgettable monument to an era defined by ultimate visibility, a moment when the boundaries of celebrity were completely redrawn, leaving the entire world to wonder what the next chapter will hold for a couple that has truly conquered the global stage. As always, the conversation does not end here, and the ultimate meaning of this historic evening is something that will continue to be fiercely debated in the days, weeks, and months ahead. Thank you so much for watching this comprehensive 3-part report, and please make sure to let me know your final thoughts on this entire spectacular event in the comments below.